going on, everybody? Uncle Filthy, and welcome back to the Media Hub. Today we continue the revisited journey to Elm Street. Still trying to find a nice way for that to roll off the tongue. Today, we're taking a look. You clicked the video. You know this is a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Black Sheep turned cult classic. Let's go. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is one that I had mentioned in my original video that I did 5 years ago. It was one that I watched a lot. I watched this one and the first one on VHS a lot. And, you know, in a lot of ways I found myself really drawn to Nightmare 2 just because it had a little more, it was a little more fast-paced in a lot of ways and gives us just a little more of the Freddy Krueger action on screen. And, you know, with the main character being a boy, I was able to sort of relate to that as a young boy. It was just equally about as scary, you know? And, I don't know, man, this is one that just always, it clicked for me. And I didn't realize until years later that not only did people have an issue with this movie just because it breaks the rules established in the first film. Fuck it, I like that it breaks the rules. When you're only on the second film, there's not too big of a rule book to follow. The other thing I didn't realize until I was much older, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, I didn't realize just how gay this movie was. It wasn't until I was about 16 watching it that I'm like picking up on some things and I'm like, that had to be unintentional, right? And then there was another thing, and those scenes just sort of added up and noticed that, okay, there's definitely something going on in this film. So I looked into it, and that was, I think, part of the reason why some people didn't like this film upon its release. Since then, it's become a cult classic. You know, I think that kind of makes this one stand out a little bit, that it goes against the grain in two different ways there. You know, it kind of goes against what was set up in Wes's film, and it sort of breaks from the norm of, hey, we're going to show you all the naked women. This one, they sort of made, I feel like the target audience was gay dudes and the ladies, but, you know, the film still works for me, and as a general horror fan, I fucking love it. One thing I think really works in this film, too, is the way that they present Freddy for us. He's shown to be looking a little bit more angry. You sort of see his face a little bit better, and he's got this real slimy look. This is when he really starts to present the growl throughout the film a little bit more. Where in the first film, Robert Englund kind of had that playful, careless whisper going on. And here he's sort of starting to get to that guttural level, where he's definitely got that intimidating voice that we tend to liken with Freddy. I still gotta say, this is probably Robert Englund at, if not his most scariest, pretty damn close to it in his portrayal of the character. I think that the transformation scene, too, when he's coming out of Jesse's chest, that's right up there with a lot of the great werewolf transformation scenes. The American Werewolf in London is one of the first to come to mind. With that connection, it looks about just as painful, if not a little bit more. And I just remember that scene scaring the crap out of me as a kid. And I don't know, it still makes me a little uneasy watching it today. I don't know, just something about those practical effects, man. Like when you see Freddy's eyeball at the back of Jesse's throat, that's super effective, really disturbing. And then when you see his face just sort of pressing through his chest, it's almost like when he's coming through the wall in the first film, you know? The characters in this one are pretty interesting too, and I kind of like that this one does sort of try to separate itself from the original film, taking place 5 years afterward. So it really helps to sell that there is already this sort of legend status to Nancy in the 1428 house. I think that Jesse, played by Mark Patton, is actually a really interesting character, a pretty compelling character to get behind.
Did I say those words?
Whether you're watching it for entertainment value or looking for the deeper meaning, I think either way, the struggle that he's going through is pretty damn solid. You know, just the idea of being sort of losing your personal autonomy to a possessive, angry spirit that dwells within your house. You know, that's pretty fucked up. And I think Lisa's a pretty great character too. You know, just the way they're sort of able to use. They take that sort of gender norm of the final girl, apply that to Jesse, make him the final guy, have Lisa be sort of the proactive hero in this one, where she tracks Jesse, Freddy down, and is able to use the power of love to sort of kill Freddy, save Jesse's life. And, you know, Lisa's a fucking fox, man. I always liked Lisa. That's another reason why I watched this one a lot too, because that cabana scene when I was a young kid, that was I rewound that a few times. Another character whose inclusion I really like in here is Krueger as Jesse's dad and Hope Lang as his mom. But anytime Clue pops up in a film, I just get excited. He's one of those actors where it's like, he's in a few movies that I really know and really like, sort of cultish films. And anytime he pops up, I get a kick out of it. And, you know, he plays Jesse's grumpy old dad in here. Just like John Saxon in the first film, he doesn't buy into, oh, there's nothing wrong, this kid's just a little crazy, needs some help. I think Grady's a really fun side character, a bit of comic relief. Definitely would have liked to have some more Grady in the film. You know, he used to grate on my fucking nerves when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I find Grady to be the most relatable character in a lot of ways. Especially when they're asking him, hey, do you want to come to the party? It didn't occur to me until a few years ago that he was totally bullshitting about throwing his grandma down the stairs. I can't remember if I was watching somebody do a video on it where they mentioned that, or if it was just in general conversation that was brought up. But I could have swore, yeah, you know what, if the character says it, it's true. Dude was just saying that to get out of going to the party. That's the way to be. Be like Grady, guys. The other thing I really like too in this film, I mean, there's a lot that I like, but another little thing is just the way you can feel the heat when it's on screen here. You know, you see the characters sweating, they're fanning themselves off. It feels like it's the peak of summer.
It is so hot in here.
Let me look at the thermostat.
And actually watching this movie and reviewing it in the summertime, you really get sort of a better feel for that atmospherically, so it's a really nice touch there. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is definitely a summer film. I'll challenge anybody on that. And I think the score in this one too is pretty cool. It's not on the same level as it was in the first film, but I kind of like that this one sort of goes and does its own thing. They still incorporate the 1-2 Freddy's coming for you, but Christopher Young, the way he goes and does his own thing, it's just admirable, and I think it helps this film sort of stand out on its own a little bit more. And in a lot of ways too, I think with this film being the rule-breaking black sheep, it definitely can stand on its own. I know some people talk about they don't really consider this one to be canon. I think this one is very much canon, and it was Lost Legends TV. I know that guy did a video where he's talking about some stuff, and he used a way to sort of connect 2 with 3, and I suggest you guys go check that out. If I remember, I'll have a link for that down below or throw it in the comments for you guys. And as you guys might have saw in the review of Nightmare 1, I brought back some old footage from my original version of the review, so we're going to roll a little bit of that B footage, some of those old school filthy features.
Let's see, favorite dream sequence. Now this one has a lot of dreams going on. This probably has the highest number of dreams in the series if I think about it. But my favorite is, and always will be, the opening dream on the bus. I mean, hands down, that is fucking the scariest thing this movie has going for it. And there's a lot of scary shit in this film anyway. But, yeah, I can't see a school bus nowadays without thinking, oh my god, that motherfucker's about to go off-road and about to fall into the fucking fires of hell. And it really sets the tone for the film, too. And when you see the version of Jesse on the bus, he's very, I don't know, he looks a little stocky and geeky. And when he wakes up, you see, oh no, he's actually the slender, pretty boy. So that already kind of sets an expectation that you're not really gonna be knowing what to expect throughout the film based off of that transition, I feel.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, and the spotting Shay. Now, only Bob Shay appears in this one, and we'll see Bob Shay as the leather-clad BDSM bartender when Jesse has that little dream sequence where he goes to the gay bar and he asks for 1 beer, please. And Bob Shay's just there like, yeah, I got you, boy. Freddy's quips in this film. The Freddy Quipper. This one, there's a couple good choices in here. I almost was about to say the body brain one when he just cocks his glove. Jesse, you've got the body, I've got the brain. But I have to go with, and this one's probably everybody else's favorite Freddy one-liner in this film, and it's at the pool party when he just got the grill burning behind him, throws his arms out. You're all my children now. That line is fucking amazing.
Touch back on this film being the rule-breaking black sheep. In a lot of ways, the nightmares feel like they take place more in the real world than they do in the dream world. I believe that people see Jesse. I know as the audience, and just to sell the movie, you got to show Freddy. I don't think that Freddy actually manifests physically in this film. It's just sort of the way that when Jesse falls asleep, Freddy takes over, just sort of mentally, not physically. But yeah, no, I seriously will argue that people definitely see Jesse here. Because they don't say, who's that? Like at the pool party. They're all just freaked out like, hey, this is pretty fucked up. When Lisa's dad shoots at Freddy, Jesse, he only asks where'd he go, not who was that, where'd he go? Just little things like that. But don't ask me to explain why Freddy's bare hand has the knives coming out of it. I understand that somebody stole the glove from the set when they were making the film. I think that was a cool looking choice, but it did lead to a good deal of confusion for me as a kid. Also, I think Freddy's fingers almost look like breakfast sausages. I don't know if I said that before in the older video, but I stand by it. They look like breakfast sausages.
Freddy, would you like some sausage? Freddy, would you like some sausages? Freddy, would you like some sausage? Sausages.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. This one I think has a lot to offer as a film, just being a relatively unique feature. It definitely can stand on its own from the rest of the Nightmare films. Had this one been marketed as something else, it probably would have been more of an instant success or a forgotten favorite. But I'm glad it exists in the Nightmare series. I like that it more or less does do its own thing from what the first film did, and where the third film sort of course corrects and follows what Wes did in the first film. I don't think Wes liked this one very much. But I enjoy it, and I think most of y'all have probably seen this one. If you haven't, it's definitely worth checking out. If you saw it before and didn't like it, give it another chance. Try to take some of the stuff into consideration that I pointed out about how the real world and the dream world are more or less not so very connected. The possession angle being more of a mental sort of thing as opposed to a physical manifestation, If you keep that in mind, it'll make this film a little more interesting, a little more psychological for you. Definitely adds something to it, I think. And, to this day we have 8 or 9, depending on how you want to count the films. This is by far the most unique, save for maybe New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, I gotta give Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge 4 messy, sweaty Jessies out of 5. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to play with the icons down there. Let me know down below how you feel about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Is it overrated? Is it underrated? Do you hate it? Have you not seen it in a while? All that and more down below. Be sure to look out for Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and all the other cool stuff I got coming out. See you guys in the next one.